and Joe know all there is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 718, and it's a weird one, and not just because Matt Bassler is here, although my wife already gave things away with her giggle.
My bad.
People are like, well, that's not how Kevin giggles. His is much more girly. So, which is a reflection on Kevin, not you.
Okay.
Just to be clear.
All right.
Okay. So normally what we do is go around the table and introduce ourselves. So we'll do that.
Sure, it's me, Matt.
Crystal O'Keefe.
This is Tom. Normally, when I say let's go around the table, we start over there and then it goes but clearly Crystal has never listened to an episode of Real
I have,
Spoilers.
but it's been a
She
while.
did not know the rhythm of the opening of the show at all.
I'm sorry. I
So-
thought Matt was going to say more. It was just. It's
I
Matt.
got nothing to say.
Yeah, it's just a quick like,
All right.
oh, Joe, Kevin, Tom, and
All
then
right.
we go. So we should probably explain what's going on. So we were out of town last weekend for Thanksgiving, and so we were going to record on the Monday, and then Joe couldn't do it because he works overnights, and that's rough for him. And so we got Matt to sit in, and then Kevin, his house was stricken with the flu and COVID. And I think rickets, and so now Crystal is on. So now
Hi.
Matt has to ask himself.
Well, I should say, I thought I was coming on the clip out.
Right now,
And
you
I
are
was like, oh my gosh, it's happening! Finally. And I get here and you say, "Oh, did you watch those movies?" And my heart just sank.
Yeah.
Oh no!
now it's kind of the best of both worlds,
I guess so.
right?
I guess so.
You get a little bit of both. There's only room for one person who doesn't use a Peloton product on the clip out.
But let me. What feed is this going on? Is what matters to me. You know.
It's the Real Spoilers feed.
Okay, and that's
Yeah.
great. That's great. That's wonderful.
It's still a step up from the Patreon Real Spoilers feed, right?
My podcast?
What's
No.
My
No.
podcast? Real Spoilers Patreon?
that? Yeah.
It's your
Hey,
podcast.
hey, watch it, buddy.
There's been a hostile
Things have
takeover.
changed.
There's been a
Things have
hostile.
changed since last I was
Yes,
here.
there's been a hostile takeover of the Real Spoilers Patreon podcast. So,
Okay.
so anyway, so here's just a peek behind the curtain. Next week we're going out of town. Crystal and I, not Matt and I. You're nice and all, but
hey.
but she puts out. And so,
Buddy, you ain't asking me the right question.
so we're going to Philadelphia for a Mystery Science Theater thing.
Yep.
And so that was like, oh, now it's 2 weekends in a row. So we're actually going to record 2 episodes. So your next 2 episodes will be this odd configuration of Real Spoilers.
I think it's delightful. I don't know why you're calling it odd.
it's just unusual, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have audio. This is true. I have audio of Bud Abbott doing Who's On First with someone who's not Lou Costello. And he's doing it with Sid Fields, who, did you ever watch the Abbott and Costello TV show?
Yeah, no.
Okay, well, if you have, he was the guy who owned the apartment complex that they
Okay.
lived in. So, but he's a very, like, you've seen him in old movies and
Sure.
stuff. So he's like a real guy who can do comedy, but it's just different to hear.
Yeah.
I'm doing it to somebody else.
Well, I'm
That's
sure
what's
there's
fun.
people that much prefer that version.
Like Sid Fields' mother,
Yeah.
wife,
Yeah.
children.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it would be like if Kevin was on the clip out, people wouldn't want to. They would want no part of
Kevin
it.
was on the clip out.
And it was our lowest downloaded episode of all time.
No, I think things are hey, keep an eye on those reviews because I think you're going to see some people going, this one was a breath of fresh air.
It's
Sick of Kevin's giggle.
yeah. Well, we'll get great reviews on this one because all of Crystal's social media juice. So
I'll be posting.
All the Clip Out Crystal fans will come flooding in. So, shameless plug. Oh, I didn't say what movie we're doing. We're doing The FABELMANS, which is the new Steven Spielberg movie where he doesn't do anything Steven Spielberg like.
Yeah.
You don't do the thing when it's me and Crystal where you say the name wrong?
Oh, did I not? Okay. What do you change on that?
Maple syrup.
I don't know. I couldn't remember it. Many times,
Yeah.
typing in showtimes, go Flindermans or what is it?
Fledermaus?
I think you've told me the name of that movie about 15 times. I still didn't know the name of it. It is awkward.
It is kind of a drab title.
Yeah.
So shameless plugs, and then we'll dig into the movie. Shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That's super nice. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Real Spoilers. I really have a hard time not saying /the clip out because you're
I'm here.
sitting here.
Hi.
Like I'm pretty good about not messing that up anymore, but you're sitting here.
Hello.
So while you're there, like the page, join the group, and it's called the League of Show Shares. And I didn't create the League of Show Shares because we were out of town, so I don't have names to read. So my apologies to everyone. And then also
Heather Sachs, probably.
Yeah, Librarian Cynthia.
Even I know that one.
Yeah. I think she was our first. So you can also find our Patreon, patreon.com/Real Spoilers, where you can get even more Matt Bassler.
That's my podcast.
Talking about horror movies I've never seen.
It's a horror movie podcast.
Yeah.
It's weird sitting over here. I can't. It's a real
His
Kilroy?
laptop's in the
Tim
way.
Allen's
Wilson?
interesting- Yes, I was thinking Wilson.
Yeah.
And isn't that interesting how people have
Well, it's
different...
because I'm 100 years old, so my references are from World War II,
Right.
whereas your references are from the 90s.
Tim Allen.
Most
of mine.
I just spent 5 minutes talking about Sid Fields, right?
Right.
Like a
And
name.
you said it to me like, Sid Fields.
I just thought you had seen Abbott and Costello. It seemed like something that would be
I've
in your
seen
wheelhouse.
The Simpsons do a parody of Abbott and Costello. Yes.
Seinfeld is like, if you watch Seinfeld as a Abbott and Costello fan, the rhythms of Abbott and Costello are all over that
Or
show.
if you watch it with Tom, he will point it out.
They actually
I know
That
this.
sounds fun. That sounds awesome.
there was actually a character
Yeah.
on Seinfeld called Sid Fields. Because he's a huge Abbott and Costello fan. So there. So where was
Anyway,
I
I
at?
just can't see your mouth.
Okay.
It's very impersonal. Hey.
Yeah, it's because I'm short.
Just look at the screen up there.
Just
Oh,
watch
cool.
There the whole time.
Well,
yeah.
it's still kind of.
So the Fabelmans.
Yeah.
This is rough because this is where Joe always starts talking, and I don't have to do as much work. So the Fabelmans.
You're in the Joe chair.
Yeah.
It's directed by Steve, kind of about him. I don't know how much or how little. I
So
don't really know
quite a bit.
anything.
Oh, is it really?
Quite a bit of this is true. So,
Okay, I wasn't sure how much was true.
Yeah, so it's a fictionalized account of his life, or of his childhood, but but a lot of the bigger plot points are accurate, which we will dig into. So it starts in 52. He's a little kid. I guess he's supposed to be, what do you think, 8-ish?
Little 8-year-old coward. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
he's scared to see a movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you do got to ask yourself, like, that's
That's pretty. But I guess if you'd never been to a movie, although I remember my very first movie, and I was not scared. I
your
was
first
excited.
movie was probably like, what, Pretty Woman?
No. My first movie was actually Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, and we watched it at a drive-in theater.
And you
Okay.
didn't go, oh, but they're so big up
Well, you must have
I
seen
did
like a
not.
re-release.
I don't know.
Well, because you were.
I was young.
You were born in 78. That
Yeah.
movie came out in 80. I don't think you remember.
Well,
right? Yeah, 80.
That
I
sounds
don't-
right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was there a third one? Maybe I saw the one with.
Were there
I think there's
were there
3
te-
Star Wars movies.
were there
I
te-
can't remember the name of.
were there teddy bears in it?
There were Ewoks. Yes.
Okay, then
that was number 3.
then you saw Return of the Jedi.
I saw that one.
So that's now you're talking like 83.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Chronologically speaking.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So this is
why I'm not usually on the movie podcast.
so Matt, your first movie?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't
really
know?
remember your first
No,
movie you saw in the theater?
Wow.
Not at all. Couldn't even begin to tell you.
Wow, that's crazy. Because most people remember the very first movie they ever went to see in the theater.
Mm-mm. No idea.
None.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Mine was the jazz singer.
What?
No. My first movie, I've said on the show before, was the Apple Dumpling Gang. That was the
Okay.
first movie I saw in the theater. So, but I did think it was weird that
How
this
scared
kid's
he was.
scared to go to see a movie. And
I guess if you're scared of the dark as a little kid, and you keep talking about giants on the screen.
It is interesting. How did they present this to him?
Right.
Like, we're going to
Yeah.
shut off all the lights and these monsters are going to show up.
And he's going to see The Greatest Show on Earth, which is
Kind of weird.
but it's about the circus, so I get why like you would take a kid to it, and it is largely considered, I believe, the worst Best Picture winner of all time. I think now a lot of people think Crash is worse, but for years it was considered the worst movie to ever win the Best Picture Oscar. So, but I guess it's a lot of spectacle. I've never seen it.
But was it the first movie Steve saw?
I think it was.
Okay.
I think it was. I think that's why he picked it. And
Okay.
so,
Right.
and so you have his
Gave him a train fetish.
yeah, for sure, yeah.
Or a train crash fetish. I guess.
Yeah. Got to be very
Gotta
specific.
film it. I gotta see it.
Yeah, he gets obsessed. There's a big train crash scene in the film, which we see, and then he becomes obsessed with this train crash. Like at first, he's scared of it. That's
Right.
how was my perception, and then
He kept replaying it in his head.
he wanted to. They figure a way. They buy him a model train, and then he's wrecking it. And those things aren't cheap. They bought him a Lionel one. They went name brand because the Fabelmans got money, right? And because the dad's a computer engineer, which is a new thing at the time.
yeah.
And I just thought it was so he keeps wrecking it. So the solution they concoct is they buy him a movie camera so he can.
The mom does, because dad's not allowed to know, because he
Right.
got in trouble for wrecking it, and so mom bought the train set and said, "Don't tell your dad."
Well,
I'm
but the
sorry,
camera.
mom bought the camera.
Right. And so she's like, wreck it once,
And then we're done.
and then you can just watch the movie over and over again. Kind of like their honeymoon.
Okay.
What?
All right.
So, but he wrecks it over and over again because he needs,
These angles.
he needs different angles.
Gotta get the coverage.
He needs coverage, right? Which is funny because it's like, even from that age, like he just instinctually knows how the medium works.
Yeah. And I think that's why he was so obsessed with the movie.
Yeah.
Like watching the movie. The train
Well,
wreck.
because so much of what makes that train wreck scene work is the editing, right? The cutting back and forth between the people in the train and their reaction, and then seeing the train wreck, and they show it from multiple angles, and
that's what he wanted to recreate.
right, and it creates the illusion of you're in the middle of this wreck in a way that just like pointing a camera at it won't.
When the mail comes, right? He's going through the mail. He opens it up and he goes, my movie," and that bothered me because then the dad should have went, "What are you talking? What?"
Right.
I agree. I was like, well, y'all didn't hide that. very
No,
well.
not at
Because she
all.
like pulls him aside. She's like, it's on the table. Like,
Yeah.
and nobody, like the dad didn't, what do we get in the mail today?
But you know what? Maybe that's better than watching a whole bunch of sneaking or you just whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So we should also say that there's a friend of the family played by Seth Rogen.
Benny.
Benny? Is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay. I kept wanting to call him Bernie. So Benny is the dad's best friend, and we will come to find out the mom's bestest friend.
Yeah. Yeah, and the mom is crazy, and you know this because she is a fun woman early in the film, and that's how you know.
That's how you know.
Right.
Oh, she's bonkers.
Right.
She's nuts. She likes to dance. Oh,
And play the piano.
yeah.
Okay, guys, she bought the monkey. That's what.
Well, that's where you really yeah. That's where she starts. But I do feel I think it's a funny thing that I think they put things early in the movie,
that kind of.
so when it happens later, it's like, okay, I see.
They've laid the groundwork.
But the things is that she's like silly sometimes.
Yeah.
She has
Right.
fun with her kids, which I guess is not a fault of the movie because I was
You-
like, okay, yes, movie. I understand this
Yeah,
language.
they show it to you in a way that's like she's doing these things, but they're not entirely appropriate. But you can't really. Well, okay, she does drive her kids into a tornado.
Yeah, that was weird as a mom watching that.
Maybe right. The disregard for the danger of a tornado. Maybe that is a little. Hold on, Mitzi. That's
Right.
a little bonkers.
But I will say, paired with the fact that she was in the middle of a fight with the husband.
He didn't stop it. He's just going like, Mitzi, where are
So-
you going?
Okay, in defense of the husband, as someone who was married to
I
someone
was
who
like,
was
uh-oh,
crazy,
we're about to be triggered.
Yeah.
like, there's not a lot you can do to tamp that down.
Okay.
That is fair, but I'm just saying that they were in the middle of that fight. So it's like I kind of at that point chalked it up to she was just emotional.
Dying in a tornado is better than this.
Not thinking it through is where I was going with it, but okay.
I'll kill your children in a tornado. How about that? Now who wins?
I've seen mothers do worse.
Yep.
Sure.
I like how she was like, of course it's not dangerous. I'm your mother. I was
Right.
like,
I'm like, oh, this sounds very familiar.
yeah,
Yeah, this is. Yeah.
not how that works.
I'm like, what you need, Bert, is a GAL. I can help you navigate this process. But Benny is also Bert's best friend, and they work together.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever Bert gets a new job, he makes sure that Benny goes along for the ride.
Well,
Mitzi makes sure.
I was like,
Well,
it was
okay.
more of a Mitzi. Mitzi
Yeah.
was like, we can't leave Benny. What are you doing?
Yeah. So they end up moving to Arizona. I feel like I'm skipping things. So if I'm missing something, just
Paul Dano's the dad, and I'll tell you this: I don't want to see Paul Dano unless he's playing some weird worm weirdo. Okay, Paul Dano ain't gonna be a creep. Not interested.
Okay.
He's fine in the movie. He's great in the movie.
what about when he was is Brian Wilson a creep?
He's a weirdo.
He is a weirdo.
So,
Yeah.
but he's not a
he
creep, but he's a
checks
weirdo.
One of the boxes.
All
He's-
right.
Goes
All
in
right.
This movie, sweet, caring father who really doesn't deserve any of the bad things that come his way.
For sure.
Oh, but
That's-
sometimes that's the way things go.
Oh, I
Saying-
know it.
So this whole movie triggered you.
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not saying Mitzi did the wrong thing ultimately. I don't think that father
He didn't deserve
didn't
it.
do anything to make it.
Yeah, like if anything, she should have done it sooner. Right?
Correct,
Like
yes.
it's
But come on, Dad was a little bit. How do you not see it? How do you not see some of that
Oh,
stuff?
sure.
You know?
well, I honestly wonder, and it wasn't necessarily played this way, but I honestly wonder if like he's on the spectrum, right? Like
Oh yeah, maybe.
because
Like
he's
computers.
he's really good at
Yeah.
computers and he's so hyper focused on his
Right.
job. And he definitely enjoys spending time with his family, but I think that like that part of his world is just like, I have a wife now, she does wife things, and I'm gonna go work. And not even in like your stereotypical like human being
in a
kind of way.
compartmentalized.
Yeah, but he's
way.
just like, well, you do home, I do work, and I'm really excelling at work, and we make good money, and this is what I bring to the table, and it's great that my best friend gets to, and you like him too, and we get to hang out all the time, except for about 25 minutes a night when you both disappear.
Yeah.
I get a break.
Yeah.
I get a break.
I did think they would have put something in to make him seem absent a little bit, like make
Yeah.
it a little bit like, but they never, and maybe that's just because it wasn't that way. I don't know, but
Yeah, I get it. Doesn't appear to have been, and this part is absolutely true. Like his mother did like fall in love with the best friend, and the best friend was around all the time. Like that seems to be pretty accurate.
she did buy a monkey.
I don't know. I haven't been able to, I didn't look up that part. My gut says she did. Like it just feels, it's so over the top
Yeah.
that I almost feel like it almost has to be true.
Which city were they living in when they like went on the camping trip?
I think that's when they're in Arizona, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the first move, which is kind of where you were.
Yeah.
And I feel like the big turning point there was whenever they went camping together, and Benny was there too. And then she like had this weird moment where she decided to dance in the headlights, and
Yeah.
the daughter was like, "This doesn't make sense. You all are crazy."
Yeah, the daughter's like, this ain't a key party.
And she was like,
Dial it down.
Mom, you can see through your dress." And didn't stop Mom. Didn't stop anybody watching.
Yeah. Well, it didn't stop her son from filming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like,
There's that.
Yeah, I
hey,
thought,
he's an impartial observer. He's
Right.
he's a filmmaker. You know, he's not gonna.
He's there for the art.
yes.
documenting. You can't step in.
Yeah, and so we should say the dad's not a fan of the filmmaking.
Oh yeah, he doesn't.
Like he
seem
doesn't
to be.
like it at all.
He's like, it's fine. It's a hobby. It's a hobby. That's how he regards
Yeah,
it.
he
It's
keeps
a
calling
hobby.
it a hobby, and because he doesn't see a path to a profession, and he wants his son to be like an engineer or something like he is, and so the dad's very down on it unless the mom's going to dance half naked in front of his best friend.
Then it's okay.
Then it's okay.
Yeah.
So,
In fact, he says, "Hey man, edit this together, dude."
yeah,
He does actually.
Yeah.
I don't think it was for that reason, but he did do that.
That's not what he told the kid, but if I could pop this in whenever I want.
so he does that after the mother's mother
Grandma.
dies, and she's super depressed, and he
Yes.
wants to cheer her up. So he's like, "You should edit all this footage together of our camping trip." And the son, whose name is Sammy, is very upset because
Well, and now
Sam.
by now Sam/Sammy is in his teens, and he's very independent, and he wants to hang out with his friends.
And he's got a film project that he's put together that has all these extras involved, and his films that he's making are getting increasingly elaborate. And this one, he has like 40 people showing up so he can film a war movie called Escape to Nowhere, which is actually a film that Spielberg made as a child or as a teenager. And the dad's like, "Well, you need to do it right now, this weekend. Cancel that." And that, I was frustrated. That part never really gets resolved. Like, he still makes the film, but they never show you.
Like, did the friends come over later? I just assumed he rescheduled.
Yeah, they didn't say if he pushed it back, if he stayed up all night to edit the camping trip together. Like, they never really.
Right. Yeah, it's a weird kind of truly like the language of a movie, right?
Right.
That's not how it. You don't do a thing where you have this, you introduce this conflict, and then I guess have off screen him go, "Oh, it's next week, cool guys," and they all go, "Yeah, it's fine, no problem."
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and they never address it. It's just somehow both of them occur.
Yeah. I mean, they did show him working on the movie late at night, so I don't know if you were supposed to take from that he was up all night. I
guess I
had the same question.
but the dad made it very clear, like, don't do the film.
Yeah.
Work on the editing.
He did.
Right? Like, he was like, you cannot do both. You have to pick this.
Right.
For me, I'm finally letting you work on movies, so you have to.
So do the movie that I want.
One of the things I really liked was I liked seeing him, like, how much he was into the other aspects of the filmmaking, like the editing and how.
Oh, sure.
Like, people were really
yeah.
impressed with like how he made the guns look like they were firing, and like he really understood the
effects and
the mechanics of film, and which I don't really feel like the film itself made this point very clear, because they kept talking about how much he's like his mother, but he was really a lot like his dad.
I agree.
Because they talk about he's like his mom, because his mom was this trained concert pianist, and she's like, movies are a dream, and the dad's like, it's 24 frames a second, and it's like they're gonna be really big, but they won't feel like giants because of persistence of vision, and the son Sammy understands all of that intuitively.
Is that what it's trying to get at, that he's sort of a combination?
Immaculate. What is it?
An amalgam?
I should have just not.
An amalgam?
Yes.
Because the dad has the conversation in the car about how it's kind of like what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, maybe they
problem.
do. I thought that there would be a little bit more of that, because he is a lot like his dad, and he's also hyper fixated on his work. He's also in a very young field, like his dad.
Yeah.
That's not established. Because they keep talking in
been
the
around forever.
Yeah, they keep talking in the film about like the Benny is like, well, your dad sees that computers are the future in a way that the people that work at these companies don't even remotely get yet. And he sees the future, and Spielberg was seeing, or Sammy was seeing the future, because at this point, I think a lot of people don't really remember that nobody gave much thought to where films came from.
Yeah.
This is the era and the generation of filmmakers that began to say, who made this movie? And John Ford made this movie and John Ford made this other movie and they share these traits and John Ford makes good movies. I should pay more attention to the John Ford movies or the Howard Hawks movies or what have you. And this is the generation that starts to figure that out and kind of independently all across the country, and you start to see the rise of film fanzines and the movie house circuit that would show classic movies. And there's this resurgence in the early 70s of like the Marx Brothers films and Casablanca and Humphrey Bogart. Like all of a sudden in the 70s, like you see all these Humphrey Bogart references start popping up in pop culture. Like there's the Key Largo song, and there's Play It Again, Sam has a Bogart impersonator. You just start seeing that a lot. Yeah. And it's because people start having a nostalgia for this, and this is kind of the beginning of that. But like the dad just sees it as like, well, I don't know where movies come from, but they exist and it's not your problem. Right? There's not a
They're just there.
There's not a business in that, kid, so don't do it.
Yeah.
And ironically, the dad's doing the same thing.
I mean, yeah, right.
Right, but with computers.
I liked watching him edit because I was like, oh my God, cut and paste before cut and paste existed.
I mean, that's why it's called cut and paste.
I know, but it was just, oof. Watching him do that, thinking about how long it takes to edit a podcast, and that's like nothing compared to a movie and all the edits. Oh,
and that's why like the average length of a shot in a film has gotten so much shorter because it's so much easier to edit. Like it used to be, you're taking strips of film, and so to do quick edits, like that's part of what makes like the shower scene in Psycho so memorable at the time. I mean, it's still memorable. Obviously, it's a legendary scene, but all the edits in that little short period of time, like people hadn't really seen anything like that, and so it just like really messed with their heads. Just all this information bombarding them in such a short period of time, and now, I mean, entire movies practically look like that. I mean,
like the Queen biopic.
Yeah. Or Liam Neeson trying to jump a fence and take it, right?
That's
yeah. But now you don't think anything of it. Like you watch an old movie, and sometimes those shots, they'll linger for a minute and a half, and it's not some big establishing tracking shot.
It just is.
It's just a scene in the movie, and there's no reason to cut, so they don't. Where now they're constantly toggling back and forth and showing you other things and establishing shots. It's very different, and I think that's part of what made Spielberg's movies stand out originally, is that because he understood that, he was more apt to do that or have more scenes that did that, and so his films felt more exciting than the other films of the time. I think it's why a lot of those films you can still watch in a way that the knockoffs or his compatriots or contemporaries rather, you can't. They don't hold up as well.
His dad created Adobe Premiere.
Yes.
Way back in the 70s.
For Sammy.
Yeah, couldn't get anyone else to hop on board for a long time.
But I think that's part of what people don't like, because I know a lot of people aren't really gravitating to this film. I know Kevin didn't like it at all.
What?
Yeah. And I think it's because a lot of the film buffs want to see more film stuff. And there's not as much film stuff as you might expect in a movie like this.
Yeah, I could see that. I
don't know that would be interesting, though.
What does that mean? What more? I mean, that would be my thing. Like, what, are you going to watch him edit?
Yeah.
Which, hey, I would love to see Spielberg editing Jaws or something, but I don't think they're going to put that in a theater.
Right.
No, I agree. I don't know what else you would. I mean, I can understand the idea behind it, but no, I don't have an answer to what
I think
else
it would just turn into a collection of anecdotes, and I don't know that it would be a cohesive narrative in the same way.
So do you guys usually insert opinions there, or do you keep
we talk about it on the fly.
I didn't know. Just
Thanks for listening.
All right.
Interesting.
I've listened to every episode of the Metro Method.
I feel like I'm
That's a lie.
I feel like I'm at the dinner scene right now. You know, talking about the.
If you buy a monkey,
I'm buying a monkey.
Yeah.
Oh no! Stop! Embarrassing me.
But it is triggering, because my ex-wife would do that. She didn't buy a monkey.
She would buy a cat.
She would buy animals. When she would get mad at me, I would come home and there would just be a new animal in the house, because she knew I hated cats. And so I'd come home and there'd just be a cat.
So it really was triggering for him.
And I'm just like, but I don't want a cat. And then
Now you have one.
And then she goes crazy, literally, and skates, and I'm
Left with the cat.
With the cat.
Oh no.
So now I'm stuck because I can't get rid of a cat because the kids like the cat. So now I'm taking care of this cat I never wanted.
Because you're a nice
That was
guy.
punishment for something I didn't do.
Yeah,
but
that
she
does.
thought I did.
Yeah, you can see why
Yeah.
So
Spineless Paul Dano right
Yeah.
here.
he's definitely not.
I need a trench coat and a fedora. So when the son's editing the camping trip,
Yeah.
he, through the magic of film, realizes Benny is balls deep in his mom.
Which is, they're like hugging and smooching right there.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just
I
a
was
funny-
like, how did it take this movie
right.
for you to see this?
It's-
I said that to Tom.
But I think because he's a kid, right? And when you're a kid, Benny's always around. You don't think anything of it because you're a kid, and that's normal to you because it's all you know.
Back to my original point. How did the dad not pick
That's
it up?
what I'm saying, and I think you're right that his social skills are different
Right.
than most people, but they don't necessarily say that in the film. I don't know. It's just whatever. Again, it's also like we gotta show this somehow, and this is how. And they got to make sure that we understand that's what it is, because if
Right.
he just like touches your shoulder, it's gonna be like, "Geez, kid, you're a little much."
Dial
But,
it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, they're like 5 feet away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he like catches them holding
But I
hands.
think it's
and
but they're for the most part
That
any single element.
because it's a hand, like a come here handhold.
Right.
He puts his hand on her.
There's
waist.
just a comfort and
like a
familiarity
cheek
in how
kiss.
they touch. As
Yeah.
it's not like he's like grabbing her butt.
And
or-
honestly, they didn't. According to the mom, they never did have sex. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
the mom told the kid.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'd tell my kid too.
That's what
not
I was.
buying it.
That's what I was told. Did Mitzi also say that she never did meth in a Motel 8?
Was my friends.
Yeah. So, but any like little moment,
Singular.
any singular thing, and like it's his filmmaking that exposes it. Like right as he's editing and he's collecting all these scenes, and he's just like, oh, that's
That's not good.
he sees
Whoa.
he sees the B story, right? And the B story becomes the A story.
Did you think? I thought for a minute the way he shows the camp footage,
Right.
to the whole family. Benny's there. I thought for a second, I'm like, oh,
Is this like a
no,
reveal?
Sam, don't do
I
it.
know. I was thinking the same thing.
I thought the same thing, that it's going to be a big FU, and he's going to
Yeah.
like just edit the whole thing together to look even worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like let it play.
And he didn't.
He
No.
did not.
Good on him.
Yeah.
So, but he's really mad at the mom, and he
Like yeah.
won't talk to her, or when he does talk to her, he's really douchey.
Yeah. Teenagers.
Yeah. That didn't happen with mine.
Then he pays for it.
He does. She slaps him right in the back.
Right in the back.
Right in the back.
That was weird.
It was weird.
That's one of those things that I think this must have happened.
Right, because it's so weird.
Yeah.
Because she like goes to smack him in his face, and he spins to duck to like avoid it,
Yeah.
and she smacks him on the back to where there's like a Looney Tunes style handprint.
Oh, she was going for it.
Like he was
Yeah.
like his mom is secretly Tex Avery,
Yeah.
and that I'm like I think that one must be true because
Yeah.
it's so ridiculous otherwise.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he just could have slapped him in the face. It's all the same thing, right?
I was like even if you had that kind of a swing and you smacked him in the face,
That's
You-
gonna leave a mark.
she'd have knocked him out.
how would that? What's even the? Because to get him in the back,
The physics seems weird.
It does.
I almost wonder if it's true and not true at the same time. Because
she
he-
slapped him on the
Right.
back, but it wasn't that bad.
He probably wouldn't have been able to see his own back. So like it's more
Oh,
like
yeah.
this is how it felt to me.
right?
The red handprint of shame.
And-
Or maybe she hit him with like a bat or something,
Or an
and he's like,
anvil.
well, I can't say that. I can't put that
Can't
in
go
a
that
movie.
far.
She threw a monkey at him.
Oh yeah.
He was hit by a young Mickey Dolenz. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
That's two. That's two.
What was the first one?
I forget, but one more and I walk.
Okay.
One. If I mutter in another All right. Mad at you.
So he's mad at Mitzi, and then they end up moving to California, right?
Right,
So
right.
the dad gets offered a job at IBM. Benny isn't good enough to go to IBM, and
I took it also that Mitzi feels now that she has to separate from Benny because that's the only.
yeah,
Well, he gets offered the job, and Mitzi says, "No, we're not going."
right. And then
And
you have the smack incident, and then Sammy shows her the film.
Because she's like, "What is the deal, kid?" And
yeah.
like, let's have a talk. And then that's when he shows her
Yes.
all the cut pieces that he cut out.
Right.
And she was mortified, as she should be.
And then she agrees, like, "Oh, we'll go to California
Yeah.
and put distance between." And it gives her an out to get away from Benny, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, you can't go to IBM because you're too stupid.
Yeah, I'm sure she said it just
Yeah.
like that. Just like
You're
that.
too stupid, and I'm going to stop having sex with you.
Yeah,
So-
just like that.
Which we're not.
Good day to
Again,
you, sir.
supposedly they weren't having
Supposedly
sex.
they did not.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up in California, and now everybody's miserable
Yeah.
except for Bert.
And this is when they got the monkey.
This is where the monkey comes in.
Yeah.
So
Because she's so depressed, she can't get out of bed. She can't pack or unpack. She can't cook food. She can't do anything. And her solution was to get a monkey.
it's to get a monkey.
And it's
I mean,
perfectly
I've
logical.
never tried it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, they are cute.
I think it would
So
definitely
you got to live with one.
change it up
It would change.
for sure.
It would change it up. I also think it would be very destructive. If you were trying to keep things calm, it feels like that would not be the way to go.
Yeah, that's definitely a way to introduce chaos into the
Yeah.
situation.
They can unscrew light bulbs,
Yes.
apparently.
And throw them at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least it's not their own poop.
That's true.
I'd rather take a light
does-
bulb.
It does
to
throw,
the
and
head.
it does throw its own poop,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
as we
Yeah.
are alerted to it at the dinner scene.
That's
Because they
true.
run out of light bulbs.
Yeah. Well, see, okay. So you keep that. You learn as you go. You
Right.
keep it stocked in light bulbs.
It's going to be one or the other. I'm going to.
You put the cage together before you get the monkey.
Yeah, what is that about, though?
So, yes, if you're going to buy a monkey, assemble the cage prior to monkey arrival.
Who doesn't do that? See, that was the time I
Mitzi
knew she
Fabelman.
was. That's when I knew she was crazy. Any self-respecting mom, you buy the cage before you buy the
Right.
animal. Like, you just do.
I wonder. And how does that? Where do you buy a monkey?
I was just thinking that. Where do you buy the monkey?
Felt like that shouldn't have been a legal transaction.
No, and
But
is-
they didn't have rules like that back then.
Really?
I mean, yeah, like the government wasn't like, what if somebody buys a monkey?
It's not like they have a monkey store. What did she just do? Go to the zoo and
Well,
steal one?
But they are in California, so it's like they're close to show business. They said they're, an hour away from LA, something like that.
Alright.
So there's
Maybe.
probably people there with monkeys
Okay.
for show business stuff.
well, yeah, you just tell them it's for a commercial.
Yeah.
Buy the cage there. I guess they have cages ready to go. Well, not ready to go.
Not
but
ready to go.
Ready to sell.
right.
Build it home.
Well, I think that's the business model, right? You don't really make a lot of money on the monkey itself.
It's the cage.
It's the cages, it's the monkey kibble.
Oh, it's like, hey, we flat pack these. We don't assemble them. That's where we save the
Right.
money.
It's a profit scheme. So that seemed very short-sighted.
It did. It did. A lot of things Mitzi did.
Yeah.
You look like you forgot where you were.
No, I'm just feeling triggered again.
Oh.
There's a lot of parallels.
Yeah, there are
'Cause-
actually.
Because when my ex-wife went through all this, she ended up with a monkey on her back. So there's just a lot. So now they're going to school, public school, and whatever part of California they're at. But now
Oh yeah. Now
They-
everybody knows that he's Jewish.
they
and,
don't
like,
have Jews in California.
They're mad at him.
They're the first Jews ever in the history of California, and so they're dealing with all of that.
Yeah. It's
But
awful.
presumably they must have lived in a more densely populated Jewish area in New Jersey,
I suppose
and
so.
Arizona.
yeah.
It's knowing
the
nothing.
Arizona part kind of messed me up about that. I would have expected that in Arizona,
Sure.
not California.
Well, it doesn't shock me in California. In New Jersey, I get because it's really close to New York, and that's obviously always has a very large Jewish population. I wouldn't have thought Arizona would have had a large Jewish population. Maybe they do.
I have no idea.
I don't
We're
know
looking at
nothing.
you like
I don't
Yeah.
know nothing.
I don't either.
Explain Judaism to us, Matt.
Yeah.
So
And where the major population centers are.
Everything I know about it, I learned from the bullies in this movie, so I probably shouldn't
Okay.
really
Okay.
go into
They were
it.
terrible bullies, weren't they?
I thought they were great bullies. I think they really went after the right things, really physically imposing as well as mentally.
All right.
Terrible people.
Okay.
Great bullies.
Great bullies. All right.
So I will say this. I am looking at a thing from jewishvirtuallibrary.org.
Okay.
And this is cities with the largest Jewish populations in America. Now, this is current, but you would think it's probably been relatively consistent. I've not been made aware of any large Jewish migrations in the U.S. in the last 60 years, so I'm thinking it was probably at least proportionally consistent.
I think that's a fair assumption.
On this list, Phoenix comes in at number 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
it
there you
goes
go.
New York, L.A., Chicago, Dallas, Houston, Washington, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Miami, Phoenix.
Well, I don't remember where they were in California. So
They just said when he goes to L.A. to break into movies at the end, didn't they say it was about an hour away? I thought that's what they said.
Okay.
I think you're right because it was like 45 minutes. Like he was driving back and forth to school.
He drove 3 hours to school.
That's right.
And that's crazy.
That's right. Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah. St. Louis is number 21,
All right.
if anybody cares.
I think it's just University City making up.
Yeah, that's very dense there.
It
That's
is.
for sure. So, so they're going to school, and the kids are very anti-Semitic. At least this one particular clique, and you do start to see themes that pop up in Spielberg movies as the movie progresses. Right, like the bully kids. You see bully kids pop up a lot. You see, there's always parent stuff. Absent fathers or fathers that know that there's conflicts with.
Yeah.
So you do kind of see some of that origin story of where Spielberg gets that stuff from. But
Mitzi kind of got an ET face. Beautiful woman. Don't get me wrong. But like when ET's dressed up like the sexy lady for a second, kind of like that.
okay.
Kind of like that.
The dancing scene, particular.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, the
And-
nightgown.
And Benny's fingers light her up. So there's that.
Okay. All right.
So he ends up with these bullies at school, and he meets the two girls, right? The bullies are doing the bully thing, and they want him to say that he killed Christ,
Yeah.
which is a very offensive old Jewish trope, anti-Jewish trope, and he won't say it. And then the girls take the girlfriends of these guys, or the one girlfriend of the lead bully, is
He's
very
like, you're boring me. I don't like this.
is like. Are you talking to me or about the movie? So, thanks for clarifying that.
It can be two things.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be either
you
or.
always say that to me. Does it have to be either or?
Doesn't have to be either or. So they don't like. She doesn't like how they're treating him. This is offensive to her sensibilities. Like, especially as I think, just as over the top as they are. I don't think she's necessarily a great defender of the Jews as much as it's just they're like punching him and being like exceedingly bully-esque.
Yeah.
And so
Spielbergian
Correct.
bullies.
he ends up, because he's seen Logan and Chad are the two bullies.
Chad?
Yeah, that's what it says.
I don't remember them saying his name.
Yeah.
That's very funny that they just picked bully names.
Yeah, those are, yeah. So
Now I'm being triggered.
Right. So he had seen, I think Logan was the good-looking
It's
bully.
interesting because Logan is the Chad. So it's interesting that he would be named Logan.
He had seen him making out with a different girl in the hallway.
Yeah.
And rats him out to the girl.
Right.
Which ends the bullying in the moment, but then makes it worse for him because now he has to go back to her and convince her that he was lying, or Logan's going to be even meaner to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes back, he walks it all back, and the girlfriend doesn't believe any of it. But now she's like, he kind of ends up accidentally ingratiating himself with them, and so she ends up fixing him up with this other girl.
I thought it was the other girl. Was it not the other girlfriend?
I don't think she was a girlfriend.
I don't think she was a girlfriend. I think she was Logan's girlfriend's friend, but she
Okay.
wasn't
Yeah.
a girlfriend of one of the bullies.
Which
Okay.
also, to me, feels like this must be true. Because it would be the Logan girlfriend that he would get with,
Right.
in a movie.
Oh,
like
I get what you're
writing
saying.
that.
Yeah, he'd like steal his girlfriend, and now he got Karate Kid going on.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I think there's probably truth to this. I feel like they're playing up how much she's into Jesus.
Oh, sure.
Because
yeah.
When you see how much she's into Jesus, she totally wants him.
She's like into Jesus.
Yeah, she wants Jesus up in her stigmata.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes. The thing above her bed, the heart around.
Yeah, and she's got
And
like her crucifix has Jesus like totally buff. He's got a 6-pack but she like you kind of get the vibe that she's into this kid. She's into Sammy because he's Jewish, because Jesus was Jewish, and so like that's hot to her.
And also I can convert him.
Yeah,
Yes,
and the power
She
of
wanted to
converting
save him.
Yeah. And so they end up basically making out all the time because that's going to convert him. She's going to save a Jew.
I mean,
yeah.
not a bad way to do it.
I love how he just goes with it.
Yeah. He's like, okie dokie.
There was certainly a time in my life I probably would have signed up for just about any religion.
And, yeah. And that time would have been when you were a 17-year-old
Yes.
boy. Yeah. But yeah, she is like just Looney Tunes. So he ends up to ingratiate himself with the school. They want him to film their senior skip day,
beach day,
which is
thing,
like
yeah.
an authorized. It's field day, or every school calls it something different. But they're all going to go to the beach, and they want him to film it. He wants no part of it, but it turns out the new girlfriend, her dad has access to a state-of-the-art camera
Yeah.
and a state-of-the-art editing bay.
And he is in.
And so against his better judgment, he decides to do it. So he ends up crafting this skip day film and creating a lot of he does this thing where I like that you'd see them where they kept plopping ice cream on
Yeah.
people and you didn't know why, and then when he shows the finished film in the editing room, he made it look like he would show a seagull flying over and then cut to them and you would see the ice cream fall on them and it would look like the bird pooped on them. And I just love like the fun of how he's crafting that in the editing room.
Yeah.
That he's envisioning film.
But he
in that
also made Logan out to be a hero.
Yeah, like so there's competitions as part of that, and there's a race, and Logan wins it. But the way he films Logan, like it looks like triumph of will, you know, and Logan gets very put off by that, and he's not a fan of that.
Which I thought was a weird reaction.
This part felt fake to me.
Didn't understand
Why
it
he got so upset?
totally, and I thought there would be some sort of reveal or something. Like he would say, like, because he starts saying, like, I actually suck. Like, well, okay, well, what do you mean?
Yeah, I think he's upset. According to the film, he's upset because he knows what a he's been to this kid, and this kid still made this movie that made him
Yes.
look like this amazing athlete and hero, and it made the other guy. He made the other bully look awful, but he
Right.
made this guy look good. And Sammy's response is like, "That's not me. That's just you look like that on film. Like there's something about you that shines through in film." But that's
No.
not entirely
He
true.
edited that.
Yeah, because I mean, and
There were other people there.
he's
could've-
filming him from below, so he looks bigger and majestic, and like he's doing things. And so I don't know if it's that even he doesn't realize what he's doing, or
I don't know. The whole thing felt weird because I just felt like he didn't give him a real answer. Like it was just a bull answer.
Yeah.
That's how it sounded to me.
Yeah, and I don't fully understand. I just can't see the bully not thinking he's that guy already.
Yeah.
You know, like I think he just would have been like,
Of course,
the
I'm
way they've
awesome.
set him up. Yeah, right. I'm great. I'm cool. And maybe maybe they're putting more they expect us to understand that there's a home life thing or something, and they don't need to say it.
Yeah, I mean, they always say a lot of bullying comes from insecurity, so maybe it made him feel weird to see himself projected in a way that he didn't see himself. But it seems like a lot of insight for a kid like that in 1958 or whenever it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm not buying that either.
I guess 62.
Suddenly he was enlightened. I didn't.
No, it was 64.
They actually, too, there was supposed to be a lot more Logan in that beach day, but the animatronic Logan didn't work.
So he ended
up looking a lot better. There was an animatronic Logan that was going to slip and fall and look like an idiot.
So he had to go with what he had. He had to go with what he had.
Always the way. So the film's a big hit. And then Mitzi announces that she's leaving.
Yeah.
And she's moving away.
Because she misses Benny.
To go be with Benny. And so now he stays behind in California with Dad, living in an apartment. They're a little vague on where the daughters. I guess the daughters
went with the
mom
mom
because
go back.
The
picture showed up in the mail.
That's right. The daughters were in that picture. So the daughters go back, and he stays in California with the dad, and he's going to college, but he's miserable. And he basically confesses to his dad how miserable he is, and that he's like, "Can I please just go try to do film? Like, I don't want to do this anymore." And he's sending out all these applications to try to get hired, and he gets a response after an emotional scene with the dad. Where
the dad already knew it was there.
Yeah,
like you could tell. Because as soon as the dad said, because the dad was like,
something.
yeah, he's like, the dad's like, yeah, the mail's on the counter. Did you look at the mail yet? Like, and then like just goes on like they didn't just have that big argument. He knew that was in the mail before that argument.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, and I took it as that's why he was like, do your film thing. You got a response.
That scene is the closest. So first of all, I don't know, Tom, if we have been on a biopic episode. We did, because we did the Weird Al. I talked all about it. I hate a biopic.
Yeah, but Weird Al's not really a biopic.
No. Weird Al was great. That was very funny, particularly because I hate a biopic.
Right.
If you're good, I think this is the way to do it. If you want to do, especially the whole lifespan thing,
right?
Because then you can change things more freely to make it seem more like a movie and not shove all this stuff into one thing. This is the scene where they kind of went and did like 3 things in one little time frame where I was like, careful.
Right.
Careful, Steve.
Yeah. You're butting up right against it. Yeah. So then he gets off. It was weird. He gets offered to go work at CBS on they show him going to Universal Studios, and he's talking to the guy who's the creator of Hogan's Heroes, but then the guy says, "But I don't have any work for you, but maybe next year."
I didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
But I guess I understood, okay, he's kind of around the stuff.
Yeah, but I do know that Spielberg somehow weaseled his way into the Universal lot back in the day, and they just kind of let him walk around. And everybody was aware of him, and they knew that he was this kind of wonder kid who knew a lot about film. And back at a time when it was hard to know a lot about film, because you do need to keep in mind that like this is pre-internet, obviously, and
you couldn't just Google it.
You couldn't just Google it. There weren't a lot of scholarly books written about it. So if someone shows up knowing a lot of things, they've amassed that piecemeal through a lot of very different sources. And so I know that he, like I said, used to hang out in the Universal lot frequently. I don't know. I'm assuming the Hogan's Heroes thing is true because it's such a hyper-specific reference point.
And a real
show. And a real thing. Yeah. So
and then they sent him over to...
right across the office from Hogan's Heroes is the office of John Ford, who they refer to as the greatest director of all time when it's Howard Hawks. But John Ford's really good, no slouch. And you had seen a John Ford movie early in the film because you see there's a scene where he's watching a film and he's watching The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, which is a really, really good movie, and you should see it even if you don't like Westerns. But John Ford made Stagecoach and The Searchers and just all sorts of trying to think what else, but Grapes of Wrath. Lots of good ones.
I saw the poster.
Yeah.
in his office, and it's the director that played Ford in the movie,
I didn't know who
David
that
Lynch.
Is that who that was? Yeah, it is David Lynch. Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
It was.
And so, and I feel like I've read this anecdote before, so I think it's real, but Ford is, I thought this was going to end with Ford offering him a job, but it does not. But Ford shows him a painting, and he's like, "Where's the horizon?" And he's like, "It's in the distance." Or he's like, "It's high." And he's like, "Right." And he's like, and he shows him another painting. He's like, "Where's the horizon?" And he says, It's low. It's at the bottom of the frame." And then he's like, "The horizon's at the top. It's interesting. The horizon's at the bottom.
Boring.
No, it's interesting.
Oh,
If the
it's
horizon's in the middle, it's boring.
See, and that you would have been
I would have
Yeah.
been
thrown
out.
out of the office.
I
He's
would have
like-
been thrown out.
Now get out." And he kicks
He
him
only
out.
made it a couple seconds long.
Yeah.
In every Spielberg movie, the horizon, very bottom, very top,
Yeah.
never in the middle.
Yeah. And so, but I gotta say, I love this last shot of the movie as he's very excited that he got to meet John Ford because he knows exactly who he is, and he's super excited, and you get the feeling that he's on his way, and he walks out, and he's got this jaunty little walk, almost Chaplin-esque, and as they frame the shot, the horizon's right in the middle, and then the camera adjusts,
Yeah.
and then that's how the movie ends.
I loved it. I love that ending.
I thought that ending was great. I love the hat tip from the filmmaker himself. Like, nope, fixing it.
Yeah.
Like that's what I do now. I like this movie.
I loved this movie.
I would be surprised if anybody hated it. I mean, I whatever. I'm not going to be talking about the Balderflods in 2-3 years or
Yeah.
anything, but I had fun watching it.
I did too. Like I get some of the complaints about they want to see more about Spielberg. They want to see more John Ford anecdotes, and I don't think you do.
I don't think so either.
I think if you got that movie, you'd be disappointed in it, and it would just feel like a bunch of name dropping, especially because you're like, well, of course Steven Spielberg has met a lot of famous people.
I mean, that's a documentary, right? Like, I
Right.
don't think that's a narrative movie.
For sure. And
If he
there is a
wanted-
Spielberg documentary that you can go watch.
if he wanted that to be the case, he wouldn't have made it a fictional rendition
Yeah.
of it. He
Sure.
would have done
Yeah.
the documentary.
I think people are mad at this movie. The people who are mad at this movie are mad at this movie because it's not a great movie. It's just
Sure.
a good movie.
Yeah, it is just a good movie.
And it's
Right.
ultimately it's a fairly small film, and you don't get a lot of small films from Spielberg. I think you could make the argument that you've never gotten a small film from Spielberg, and I think this is as close as you'll probably get to one.
This felt loving. This felt like
did.
This felt like he had a lot of heart that went into it.
Yeah.
Did you the sister, dark-haired sister?
Okay.
I'm watching
The
this
one
movie.
that said she was crazy about they were all crazy for watching him dance. Is
I think
that
so.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
This whole movie. Who is this girl? I know this girl. So I did figure it out. I think you should leave the Tim Robinson sketch show.
Okay. I have not seen it.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
She's in the Tammy Craps sketch. And and the thing is, she plays a really weird little girl now.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, you see someone do two different kinds of things. You're like, they're really good actors.
Right. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But also in the scene where it's right after the parents tell him that they're splitting up.
Mm-hmm.
He goes upstairs. He's watching his beach movie, editing the beach movie. She comes upstairs. She is dressed exactly like Tina Belcher on Bob's Burgers in a way that I am like, is this on purpose? What? She's not wearing a skirt, but it is like it's a light blue
Right.
shirt, the dark blue pants. She's got thick framed glasses, similar hair. So bravo. I mean, good.
Yeah.
It's a
I
great-
can't get her to watch Bob's Burgers.
No.
She hates that kind of animation
It's
style.
the animation that
I
drives me
can't get her to watch
absolutely
BoJack
bonkers.
Horseman.
It's like she doesn't like funny and charming and also warm and
Wow.
wonderful
Wow.
animation.
That's why she's with me.
Yeah.
It all
Prickly and
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
But anyway, overall, I liked the movie. I think it's ultimately kind of maybe a slight film. Like it's not. I don't know that I'd go back and watch it a million times like a Jaws or but I don't know that it's designed to be. But I enjoyed this movie for what it was.
I did too.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. I've watched worse for this very podcast.
absolutely, absolutely. I think it's kind of a classic example of when an A student turns in B work, they get a C, and I think that's
Yeah.
what's
I will agree with
Yeah.
you there.
yeah.
Yeah, I think this isn't a movie I would necessarily like search out on my own.
Yeah.
But if we were just like, let's go see a movie, that'll be fun, and we went and saw this, I wouldn't be going, man,
What a waste of my time.
Waste of money. Yeah.
Totally. So anyway, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table and everyone can say where to find them.
You'll never find me. They can't. They won't be able to do it. Good luck.
Okay. And you?
Facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe, or you can find me on Instagram and Twitter and the Peloton leaderboard at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at Facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online, Facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and don't forget to check out our Patreon, Patreon.com/Real Spoilers. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, the shark is named Bruce.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.